Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for our June Wellness Wednesday. My name is Mary Ellen Brogan. I am the Senior Director of Marketing here at Wood, so we really appreciate you joining us today. Quick housekeeping things. If you're comfortable, please consider putting your info into the chat just so we have a little bit of better gauge of who's on the call. And our presenters can, kind of tailor the presentation if need be to make sure that you get all your questions answered. We are recording this, so we'll send that out when we're done, just so everybody has the information. We have everybody's mics and cameras off, but if you do have questions, please type in the chat. We're going to have some time at the end of the presentation to get those answered. So I just want to introduce our speakers today, Taryn, Winbush, and Amy Raphael, who are going to talk to us about SEPTA Access. So thank you guys so much, and take it away.
I should have asked, how do I progress the screen?
Oh, I can do it for you, Amy. I'm sharing the
Oh,
screen.
okay.
I
Yep,
got you.
perfect.
You got it.
I
Okay.
got you covered. Hold on 1 second. There we go. It should, there we go.
Okay. So we wanted to talk to you today about SEPTA accessibility, the different programs that we have, not just with SEPTA Access, but if anybody is interested in taking both SEPTA Access, and then there's also other programs on SEPTA. So a little bit about SEPTA accessibility. The 35th anniversary of the ADA is coming up in July. Since then, SEPTA has invested over $2 billion in improvements in system accessibility. So that money has gone towards accessible vehicles, services, and facilities. It's also supported with training, technology, organizational innovations, and wayfinding improvements. And SEPTA's goal is to enable people with disabilities to travel independently on fixed route public transportation. And then SEPTA Access is formerly known as CCT, is a safety net service. So some of the improvements include new lighting, ADA compliant communication system upgrades, wayfinding signage safety, new safety features, and modified fare lines for improved flow. So SEPTA as a system, 100% of, when we say fixed route, that just means public transportation. It goes on a fixed route. That's why we call it that. 100% of the buses that are in service are accessible. There's more than 100 accessible stations across the system. These are some of the stations that are newly accessible and in progress. We have an elevator hotline with the number there. And that also includes non-SEPTA elevators like PATCO and Amtrak. So if you are using a mobility device or you need an elevator, we recommend checking that number or calling that number before you go out to make sure that there's no elevator outages at the time. And when you look at the SEPTA map, accessible stations have a wheelchair symbol next to the station names on schedules and maps.
Okay, I will talk a little bit about the reduced fare program. So SEPTA has a reduced fare program where if you are under the age of 65 and you have a disability of any kind, whether that's physical, cognitive, or psychological, you are eligible to ride SEPTA's fixed route at half the fare. The application can be found online. It's open to the public, and we also have the link here in the PowerPoint. On the application, the applicant has to fill out the top portion, and then there's a second portion that a healthcare professional has to fill out, and then the application has to be turned in to 1234 Market Street, which is SEPTA's headquarters building on the lower lobby. There's no assessment required for the reduced fare program. To make an appointment, you can call the number that's listed in the PowerPoint. These Appointments can also be made here at Suburban Station at the Accessible Travel Center where we're located, again by appointment. And the reduced fare cards are valid for 4 years. SEPTA also has a seniors ride free program. So if you are over the age of 65 or know anyone that is over the age of 65, they can ride SEPTA's fixed route for free. You can go to your local legislative office or SEPTA headquarters at 1234 in the lower lobby as well to fill out the application or turn in your application for those cards. They will take the picture right on the spot and give you your card right away. Seniors are also eligible for the shared ride program, which is the door-to-door ride sharing service for Philadelphia residents who are 65 and over. The vehicles will travel within the city of Philadelphia and up to 3 miles outside of the city of Philadelphia. And again, assessments are not required for the share ride program, and the fare for that program is $4.25 each way. And then we have the ADA paratransit service, which is now called SEPTA Access, formerly known as CCT. And the goal of this service is to ensure that people with disabilities enjoy the same rights and privileges as other members of society. It requires different transit agencies such as SEPTA to make their systems more accessible and usable by people with disabilities. It requires transit agencies to provide a safety net service for individuals with disabilities who cannot use a regular bus, train, or trolley for some or all of their mobility needs. And the transit agencies, they must look at how the disability affects a person's ability to board, ride, and disembark from any vehicle on the system, which is accessible to and usable by individuals with disabilities. And in accordance with the ADA, SEPTA provides a complimentary service for CCT for individuals who are functionally unable to utilize fixed route bus services for some or all of their transportation needs. So for this service, there is an application process. In all, it takes about, I believe, 21 days from start to finish. The applications can be you can get them online or in person at 1234. It's a two-part application for the ADA paratransit service. The first part has to be filled out by the applicant. The second part has to be filled out by a healthcare provider. And then together, the packet has to be mailed in or turned in to 1234 Market Street. At that point, an assessor will look over the application. They will contact the applicant to schedule an assessment, which is done here at the Accessible Travel Center in Suburban Station by us. There's 3 of us here. There's Amy, myself, and Catherine, and we're all occupational therapy professionals. And we conduct the assessment based on the person's disability to see what their limitations are, why they can't take a regular bus, train, or trolley. Once the assessment is done, we type up the report. It goes to the assessor, they review it, and then they'll send the person their welcome packet with their ID card, and it'll have all of their eligibility information inside of the packet. If the person would like to appeal the decision that is in their packet, they do have the right to appeal. And CCT mirrors SEPTA routes. So if there's a bus, train, or trolley that's going to the area that you are trying to go to, the CCT will also go to that area. The fare is $4.25 like it is for the Share Ride program. I kind of went over the application process already, but for the CCT applications, but this is just a quick outline of it in a PowerPoint form.
And one thing that we should mention is when you get if someone is 65, under 65, and they get a CCT card. It also will serve as a reduced fare card. And then if they're 65 and older, it will serve as both a CCT, SEPTA Access, card, and also a seniors ride free card. So some people think that they can only take one or the other, but you can take both. So some people can take CCT under certain conditions, but if their closest stop is not accessible, then they would take CCT. If they are going to an accessible stop and they're able to take it, then they can use reduced fare or seniors ride free. So as Taryn said, when you're scheduling an assessment, you will be offered a ride on a paratransit vehicle to the ATC. You can also get here own transportation if you would prefer that. You will be dropped off at Suburban Station. We do our best to meet people at the drop-off location. Our office is a little bit difficult to find in Suburban Station. If the applicant is ambulatory, but they are unable to walk the distance to our office, which is it's about half a block, maybe a little bit less than that. We do have manual wheelchairs that we can offer to bring them down. And if someone is not at the drop-off location, they can call that number and we can meet them there. So a typical assessment takes about an hour. This picture is our part of our office that shows the a mock subway platform. And on the bottom, it shows the width of what the entrance to regional rail would be, and also for the Market Frankford line. So people can practice going over the bridge plate onto the vehicle. During an assessment, the OT will get a medical history, and we're asking about different things that are, again, preventing the person from being able to take fixed route. So whether that is something like inaccessible stations or decreased endurance. We do physical, cognitive, and psychological assessments. So the physical assessment, we're looking at balance, endurance, level of pain, if there are falls risk. Cognitive assessments, we're looking at things like, do they know safe stranger awareness, street sign identification, how is their memory, their attention, would they be able to figure out what to do if they got lost or in case of an emergency, and other cognitive components. We'll also do psychological assessments. So some people, let's say if they have anxiety and they get increased anxiety around crowds, that's something that we would keep in mind. We do ambulatory and wheelchair assessments. The wheelchair assessments include taking measurements of the wheelchair and getting a weight of the wheelchair. We have a wheelchair scale here. And ambulatory physical assessments include balance testing, endurance. We test if they can negotiate a curve and a ramp. If they're able to get to walk to street level, we'll see how they do crossing the street and getting any other pertinent information. So there's 3 types of eligibility. There's unconditional, conditional, or temporary. So unconditional means that the individual cannot safely and independently use fixed route services for any reason. So some examples of that would be if someone comes in a manual wheelchair and they always have to be propelled by someone else, they cannot independently take fixed route under any circumstances. Conditional means that there are some circumstances that they might be able to take fixed route. There's a number of different eligibility conditions. There's something called architectural barrier. So if someone has difficulty on ramps or curbs, that would be considered an architectural barrier. There's physical limitations if they have decreased endurance, increased pain. So conditional, there's I think about 9 or 10 different conditions that would qualify for conditional. Sometimes someone will get up to 4 conditions, so it kind of acts like unconditional. And then there's temporary. That's for someone who might have a fracture or has recently gotten a joint replacement. So they're expected to, you know, take 3 to 6 months to recover and then be able to take fixed route again.
Okay, so in this slide, these are some more photos of our office space. So like Amy was saying, we have the simulated platforms in that first photo. And that is also a part of the assessment where we're looking at can the individual in a power wheelchair or a manual wheelchair, can they navigate over the bridge plate? Do they have any difficulty doing that? Do they get stuck? Do they go really slowly? So we're looking at that. That middle picture is a picture of the accessible turnstile, and there's also a regular turnstile next to it. And so we have individuals tap to go through that turnstile, and we see if they can park in like a simulated securement area, which is that red box. It's like tape on the ground next to the turnstile. And then the third picture is a picture of our SEPTA bus. It used to be a real bus, but it is no longer a real bus. It's not operable. So we look at, can the person navigate up the ramp to get onto the bus? We look at them sitting down on the bus. Do they have any difficulty getting up and down from a vehicle seat? We're looking at their balance and endurance, like Amy mentioned. So that's just another look of the assessment process. And next is the travel training program. So we basically have, it's a comprehensive instruction designed to teach people how to travel safely and independently on public trans. It is offered in person or virtually. So we basically go over with individuals like how to plan a simple trip, assessing safety and cognition, coming up with some goals with the person of like what are some desired locations that you would like to travel to. And some of the skills addressed is like some of the things Amy mentioned, like we're looking at safety with stranger awareness, how to ask for assistance safely, what is a safe stranger, recognizing street signs, symbols, landmarks, safe street crossing behaviors. We're looking at, how to use Google Maps or the SEPTA app to plan and execute your trip, how to look at a bus schedule. Travel training is by appointment only, and the phone number is listed at the bottom. We also have groups of students from different high schools come to visit the ATC, and we just go over like bus etiquette with them. We go over just like some of the things like mentioned, like safety awareness things. We take them out into the station and we show them how to load a key card, how to purchase a key card, how to look at the schedule board, where's passenger services for lost and found, where is the transit police post in the station. So just like, bus familiarization, familiarizing them with the station, and we kind of do travel training as a group type of setting for high schoolers or anybody interested. And we have some resources. We have a safety video we would like to show you guys. So I'm just it was created by one of our occupational therapy capstone students. So let me see, let me just try to click on that. Are you guys able to see this?
Yes, we are.
You are, okay.
Riding SEPTA can be a fun and rewarding way to get around your community. In this video, we'll be looking at the safety tips you need so you can start traveling on the SEPTA system. Before you travel on SEPTA, it's important to have everything you need for your trip. Bring something you can pay with, such as a SEPTA key card, a credit card or debit card, or enough cash for your trip. A key card is usually the safest option. Bring some kind of identification, such as a state ID or driver's license. Pack wipes or hand sanitizer to keep your hands clean, and make sure you have your phone with you. You should have the number for at least one trusted contact, and download a Maps app, the SEPTA app, and the SEPTA Transit Watch app before you leave. The SEPTA app will help you find bus, trolley, and train schedules, and the SEPTA Transit Watch app can be used to report unexpected or dangerous situations. Riding SEPTA includes standing outside in all kinds of weather, so check the forecast before you leave and make sure you wear the right clothes for it. If you aren't familiar with riding SEPTA, it's good to practice with someone else until you feel confident enough to try it yourself. Once you're traveling on your own, let someone you trust know where you're traveling and when. Some phones will also let you share your location with a trusted contact. Bus and trolley stops are usually next to traffic. Make sure not to stand too close to the street while you're waiting for your vehicle. Stand close to the sign for your stop so the driver knows to stop for you. Wait until the vehicle has come to a complete stop before getting on. When you get off a bus or trolley, do not walk in front of it. Wait until it pulls away before crossing the street. When riding the L, B, and M, do not walk on the tracks and stay behind the yellow line on the station platform. On trolleys and regional rail, stay behind the yellow line on the platforms and only cross tracks at designated crosswalks, if there are any. Look both ways for trains before walking across. On all trains, do not block, resist, force, or lean on train doors, and do not move between train cars. Buses, trains, and trolleys can speed up and slow down quickly. Be prepared for this by always holding on to something if you're standing, so that you don't fall. Transit is a public place, and sometimes people traveling with you may do wrong or unexpected things. If a passenger is doing something that makes you uncomfortable, it is okay to move to a different seat. If they continue to bother you, or you feel that they are doing something inappropriate or dangerous, you can report them on the SEPTA Transit Watch app or in the help section of the SEPTA app. Do not give money or personal items to any passengers. If a stranger asks you to get off the bus with them, do not do this, even if they ask nicely. Do not share personal information with other passengers, such as your full name, the address where you live, or your phone number. Sometimes, strangers will leave trash on transit. They might even pee or poop in wrong places. If you see something that a stranger left on a seat or floor of a vehicle or in a station, do not sit or stand in that location and report it using the SEPTA Transit Watch app. Sometimes emergencies happen on transit. If there is an emergency, such as a fire, or if a passenger has a medical emergency, call 911 and tell them the number of the vehicle you are on, as well as where you are, if you know this information. If you leave something important on SEPTA, like your laptop, do not call 911. Instead, call SEPTA customer service for help at the number on screen. If you can, tell them the number of the bus, train, or trolley where you left your belongings. If you're not sure where you are when riding SEPTA, you can use the Map app on your phone or ask a uniformed SEPTA employee. If you get off the bus and you're not sure where you are, you can ask for help from uniformed SEPTA workers, uniformed workers at other places, such as a grocery store, or uniformed police officers. Do not go to people's homes or places where you don't see workers, and do not talk to strangers who are not wearing uniforms. Just like with anything in life, taking transit has risks. You may encounter problems like the ones we talked about while riding on transit. But riding SEPTA is still rewarding because it gets you where you need to go. If you'd like to learn more about taking the bus, trolley, metro, or regional rail, visit SEPTA's website. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on SEPTA.
Okay. Just for the sake of time, I won't play the other ones, but you guys will have access to it through this PowerPoint. But I just want to briefly talk about the travel training toolkit that is on our website under this www.septa.org accessibility tab. Another occupational therapy student that we had in the past helped to create a toolkit that is posted under that link. And that is for people who would like to, maybe travel train themselves or travel train a student themselves or maybe their own child or would like to, use that to help travel train someone else themselves. So it kind of reviews some of the things that Caleb mentioned in the YouTube video. And the augmented alternative communication boards, that's something that was newly put onto the website as well. And the stop assistant cards, which a lot of people don't see those as often. They don't really know what they are, but if you maybe have like a visual deficit or you might be a wheelchair user, you're not able, or a power chair user not able to reach the cord, although there is a button underneath the seats that you can hit to alarm the driver of your stop. But if there is a reason why you're not able to use the cord or that button to let the driver know where you're getting off, you can use something called a stop assistant card. So all of that is under that tab on our website for you guys to check out. And Caleb mentioned this app in his video, the Transit Watch app. We always encourage riders to download this app to their phone. It's very helpful, very useful, a good resource if you're out on the system, and you can use it to report any safety concern. If you feel unsafe or see something that's unsafe, you can take pictures of it if you're able to and post it. You can post things anonymously. You don't have to put your name or your personal information there, and it will go directly to the SEPTA Transit Police.
This is just information about the new SEPTA Metro and wayfinding. It has improved language, visual, and cognitive accessibility to make it so it's more accessible to everyone. If they are not, if English is not their first language or they are unable to read, the language accessibility uses shapes, letters, and numbers to replace long English names for lines. The visual accessibility uses colors. Colors alone will not be used for navigation. It makes it accessible for riders who are colorblind, and it uses simple, consistent, and reliable patterns to allow for easier comprehension. So this is an example of what the new wayfinding signage looks like.
And this again is available on our website as well if you want to check this out at a later time. They have a lot of information posted on the website about these changes that have already been implemented, and they've been working on putting up the new signage. You may see it at some of the stations. In some of the stations, going forward, they plan to implement this at all of the stations.
So as I'm sure many of you have heard, SEPTA has been in the news a lot lately. There are proposed service cuts. This will impact the disability community. I just full transparency. If services are cut, and they're talking about cutting services about 50%. If that happens, because paratransit mirrors fixed route, if a bus is not running or one of the 5 regional rail lines is cut, you have to live within 3/4 or have to be within 3/4 of a mile of the SEPTA stop. So if those stops are gone, it unfortunately is going to affect everybody. What can the public do? The best you can do is contact your legislators. The notice of public hearings that did just happen a few weeks ago. But the most important thing to do is to contact your legislators and make it known how important funding SEPTA is for the entire region and for the disability and senior community.
And just really quickly to piggyback off of what Amy just said, I just want to show this quick video just as a summary of what she just mentioned. Oh, where's the sound? Sorry.
800,000 every day. People rely on SEPTA for 800,000 trips to work, school, the doctor, and everywhere else they need to go. Even people who never take a bus, train, or trolley benefit from them. SEPTA keeps 675,000 cars off the road, increases property values, and powers Pennsylvania's economy. But without a permanent funding solution, SEPTA will be forced to dismantle the system, slashing service by 45%, increasing fares again, this time by over 20%, imposing a 9 p.m. curfew on all rail services, eliminating 50 bus routes, 5 regional rail lines, and all special service like Sports Express. These cuts would be devastating, but it doesn't have to be this way. Our elected officials in Harrisburg have the power to act, and so do you. Tell your legislators to support the future of public transit. Make your voice heard. Now is the time to speak up, because without SEPTA, everything comes to a stop. Every day, people
Pause that. Okay. Thank you guys for letting us present and provide you with this information. Now we can open up for questions.
Great. Thank you, Taryn and Amy, for that wonderful presentation. I do have some questions that came over in the chat. One question is that we have a participant who has been using CCT for a number of years, and her upcoming renewal requires another assessment. She requested that her case coordinator join this meeting to ask for information about this, what it entails, what typically triggers it, and if this is standard for someone with a permanent stable disability.
So, what has been happening is we understand that CP is a chronic condition that is not going to improve. What likely triggered that is there might not have been an assessment completed initially. And so we do need to have an assessment on file. What usually happens is it's approved for 4 years. Once 60 days before it expires, they will get a letter to say that it the expiration is coming up. Has anything changed? So that could mean a new mobility device, a new diagnosis. If nothing has changed, you put no, you don't have to come in for another assessment. But that's likely what happened is that there's not an assessment on file. We can't, I can see the question. We can't go to people's houses to do the assessments. They're done at Suburban Station. We try to make it as easy as possible for the person. And we do our best, and then hopefully in that 4 years, then they won't, when the next when it's time to renew their card, they won't need to come in again. But, we do understand it's an inconvenience. It is just needing to have something on file for if we get audited, which we do.
Amy, can someone do it on their behalf? If they're not able to come down in person, is there like a telehealth or a tele way of doing the assessment?
Unfortunately not. It has to be done in Suburban Station. And I do understand your concerns. If there's further questions, there is CCT customer service line. That's that number is 215-580-7145. And they might be able to explain the specific case. That's just my guess, is that there wasn't an assessment on file, and that's why they're having them come in.
Okay, thank you, Amy and Taryn. Is there any other questions that we have for Taryn or Amy today?
I see. I can't. I would call CCT customer service task if there is an assessment on file. I've been here for 9 years. We've been doing the assessments here for 9 years. Before we came, it was done, the assessments were contracted. So they were done in Germantown, different contractors. So those assessments, if it was like 10 years ago, we don't have those on file. But I would call the customer service line to ask about it, individual cases.
Amy and Taryn, would you be able to include that customer service phone number in your checkout to both Mary Ellen and I so that we can share with the participants as well?
Sure.
Oh, and they're just asking, maybe you can just put it in the chat too for now.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Great.
Well, Taryn, Amy, this was wonderful. This is really, really great. A wonderful program. So thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for
Thank
having
you
us.
for having us.
All right. Our next Wellness Wednesday will be in July. We're going to do it the second week in July, just because of the holiday. So stay tuned for that information. And thanks everybody for joining us today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.